But looking back, it did take me time because virtual sales is tough. Let's just be honest. It's super, super tough. But once you figure it out, it is the best thing that could ever happen.
Love everybody. Grady Polson here, the America Agency. Beyond excited to have Jim Hensley on with us today, aka Uncle Jimmy, aka the Salsa King, aka Uncle Jimmy Salsa founder, and aka Andrew Taylor's uncle. And all around great guy, phenomenal attitude, bundle of joy. And what's fun about him, he makes you smile, he makes you laugh. And if you don't watch yourself, he'll sell you some life insurance. And so Uncle Jimmy, he's going to give us a story, a little backstory about, previous careers, how he found himself at this place, how long he watched Andrew doing his thing at that little insurance thing he was doing until he took the leap of faith to kind of get going with us. But also at the same time, we'll get some recruiting tips because he's building an agency at the same exact time, selling a ton, and then also, doing some stuff in the food and beverage, not beverage, salsa drink, doing the food and beverage, doing some stuff in the salsa world, which is exciting as well to have the ability through cash flow of selling insurance to be able to fund an additional business. So a lot to cover with Uncle Jimmy. And I'm excited for it. If you could do me a favor, drop a chili pepper, a UJ, a JH, your favorite emoji, or a hello in the chat below. Show Uncle Jimmy some love. Give him some praise. Fire him up. And if you can find that red chili pepper emoji and throw that in there, that would really nail it. There we go, Elise. There we go. So. Awesome. Well, Uncle Jimmy, how we doing? There we go. I had some yesterday with my eggs, man. It's phenomenal. So
I'm doing good, man.
What you guys need to do is come out with chips because it takes 14 chips and it's 150 calories. And I can have a cup of Uncle Jimmy's salsa and it's 10 calories. And I used to not be very calorie conscious, clearly because I've lost like 70 pounds. But now I'm more calorie conscious in chips. So I just basically take a spoon and put it on cottage cheese or put it on eggs, and it's fantastic. But I digress. Uncle Jimmy, I'm so excited you're here. Say hi to the people. How are you doing? And we'd love to hear
I'm doing great
from you.
Everybody, thank you. Thank you for letting me on your call, Grady. I really appreciate it. So I guess my story, I grew up with Andrew Taylor's family, and I actually knew his father before he was born. And I already kind of was bit by the restaurant bug, and I got into nightclubs. And the Bill Clinton actually closed the military base, Georgia Air Force Base, where we live, and they were a big funnel into our business. So I moved on to corporate America, became a corporate trainer. I actually toured the country with fun tenders, and they trained Tom Cruise in the movie Cocktail. So I got to learn Flair before Flair was like popular. I'm not a big fan of Flair because I don't want to watch someone build my drink and take 10 minutes showing off, doing all their thing. I just want you to get it out, get a sell, get done. Just like I try to tell my agents, hey man, once you get them on the phone and you ask them to spell their name so you can get it correct on the application, you're making a sell. Your job now is to get that sell complete. That is the only thing that matters. Do not chit chat, get through the application and try to get it submitted as soon as possible because life happens. And it's happened to me where their dog gets out, their children are doing something. They get I got to take this phone call and I talk too much. So going back to corporate America, I was working for House of Blues. I was a director of operations, working a ton of hours. Andrew, I actually left them and was working for another music hall. And Andrew gave me a call and said, hey, I'm thinking about changing companies. What do you think? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, there's this guy, Sean Mike, and he's going to open this new IMO. And he's promised us the world. He's saying that we're going to be able to do all the things that we were getting stuck with our other company with. What do you think? And I said, Andrew, you're a young man. You don't have a family yet. If you're going to take a leap of faith, you take it now, because you have plenty of time to recuperate if you fall on your face. Well, he talked me into becoming an agent, but it was paper apps. I had a full-time job. You had to go into houses or door knock and all the tricks of the trade, leave the, you you missed you. We got a package for you, all the little things." And it was just too hard. It was too hard to work a job and then part-time try to catch your clients when you missed a signature, when you had to get an addendum. So I bailed out. I was actually at the first convention for FFL in Atlanta. So I kind of worked 2 years and was like, "You know, it's just not for me." Well, COVID hits. And of course, I talked to my nephew a lot and I was like, "So how's it going?" "Oh, we're killing it." "What do you mean?" "Well, people are, they're buying like crazy because they're worried about, they might not be here." And I said, "I'm thinking about getting into it because I could see that my industry was closing down." Well, I got furloughed and I got really worried because I was like, "Now what am I going to do?" I mean, I was at the time I was 53 years old and I didn't want to go and get recruited or talk to some young person didn't know what they were doing. So I told Andrew, "Hey man, I'm thinking about getting my license." He goes, "You should." Click. And I'm like, "What?" Like, "Hey dude, no, I'm serious." He goes, "I know you'll be good at it." Click. If you guys know Andrew, he's really like that's how he is, right? Grady knows. But I'm like, okay. So he goes, "No, I'm serious. When you get your license, come see me." So I did. And I was working with another insurance company doing voluntary benefits, and I was doing FFL. And the way I'm going to explain it is there's white collar jobs and there's blue collar jobs. Okay. And this is what convinced me about how powerful FFL is. So I went to the other company and they made you it was like a cult, and I'm gonna say that, I don't care. But they made you go Mondays mattered all day, 8 hours. Tuesdays, you had to go for 3 hours and listen to them, and then you went and pulled doors. Wednesday, you did the same thing. Thursday was 3 meetings in a day, but you still had to pull doors. Friday mattered, and you had to be there all day, and it was like being babysat. So, and then I would come here at night, and all the agents would go home, but I would be the one working from like 5:30 to like 9, trying to make some dials, trying to figure out telesales. Well, in their parking lot, everyone was catching a bus. They were getting off a bus or getting dropped off by somebody or getting picked up by their upline. In this parking lot, there was plaids, there was Porsche, there was, I mean, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is like what am I doing? So I decided 5 months in, I'm done with them. So in June, I didn't tell them. I still kind of worked with them,
June
but
23.
I'm sorry.
June of 23.
Yeah. So I decided that's it. I'm just going to do Family First Life. So I ended up helping like 10, I think it was 12 families. And Sean Mike comes to a lock-in. And he's like, "Uncle Jimmy, what's going on? You full time now? Yeah, what'd you do?" 12. I thought I did good. He's like, he looks at Andrew and he looks back at me like, "Are you guys related? Like, that's not good." So he called me out. He punched me in the face. The next month, I went home and I told my wife, "You know what? I'm going to buy more leads. I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. I'm going to start cranking. And you're not going to see me very much, but I'm just going to go all in and see what I can do." Well, I helped 37 families the next month. So you would think that, that was good, right? So I tell Andrew, I helped 37 families, brother. He goes, "Yeah, if you don't do it again, it was a fluke." And I'm like, whoa, this is okay. Now you're my family, but this is the kind of people I want to be around because that's motivating. Okay. That's something that corporate America doesn't do. You know what I mean? So then I helped 28 families. So then his thing was, do it again, do it again, do it again. So fast forward, he's like, "You got to start recruiting because you're just a lone wolf. And without recruiting, you're just not going to be as big as you want to be." And I'm like, I don't know. But looking back, it did take me time because virtual sales is tough. Let's just be honest. It's super, super tough. But once you figure it out, it is the best thing that could ever happen. And I say that because you're not burning rubber. You're not wasting gas. I had a rock hit a windshield, it's $500 I had to replace. I'm not going to some stranger's house. I'm sitting here and I tell my new recruits, if you have a phone, you have power, you have a computer, you have leads, you're dangerous. And I believe that. And if you just have those and you have a work ethic, right? You got
Yeah.
to dive in. So I always ask people, how many hours do you work? Oh, 30. What do you get paid? a week, 250 bucks, 500 bucks. I said, okay, how do you like that? Well, I don't. I know that's why you're talking to me. So if I could show you something that if you buy into it, and I don't make I help them with their leads. We do a little split, or I tell them, look, when you sell your first policy, just invest 20% of it into leads and rinse and repeat. And then when you start selling, up the percentage, because with no leads, no business, right, Grady? I mean,
Right.
that's just the bottom line. So COVID is what forced me into this, and I had to reinvent myself. Again, I'm not young like Grady and my nephew. I'm 55 years old now. And since June of last year to today, I've helped 257 families. So, you know, and it's not over 1 year, and it's a marathon, you know what I mean? And it's brick by brick. And I was pretty ignorant to this owning a business. I've always made money for people. I've always ran successful businesses. Like when I ran House of Blues, their restaurant was doing like 6 million a year, and I did 1 million a month. And something I learned, a lady named Cheryl Vereen, September is a very difficult month to hit your numbers because, and she's a motivator. So, because everyone goes back to school, so we call it the September wall because the vacation's over. Cheryl, my family's eating in House of Blues. Cheryl comes up and says, hey, how'd you have to go to Orlando, Disney World, or Disneyland on House of Blues for a week? And my kids are like, yeah, how do we do that? Your dad just has to hit $1 million this month in sales. And I was like, so every day when I come home, my family would be like, Dad. And I mean, my kids were like 9 years old and 6 years old. Where are you at? What's the number? And that put so much pressure on me to succeed. And we ended up hitting it. And that was the first time, I think, in like 10 years, we hit 1 million in September. So I always tell people, you want to be successful? Say it out loud. Tell people you love what you're going to do and make them hold you accountable. And trust me, that works. That puts you on a different level, and it makes you very uncomfortable because the people that you don't want to disappoint are the ones you are closest to and you love. So if you really want to be successful in this business, tell them out loud what your goals are and what you're going to achieve, and tell them to hold you accountable and ask you where you're at. Where are you at this month? You said you were going to do, you did 28 last year. You're going to do 30 this year. Where are you at? And if you do those things and you say them out loud, makes you uncomfortable when you don't hit them. So if you guys are out there, make sure you just up your activity and then say it out loud, write it down, and stare at it and hold yourself to your goals.
That's fantastic. I love that. Well, and so um you said I missed something. What were you doing up until, I mean, you were, seems like you're back and forth with another insurance company. COVID was a mess. You walked away from your previous career to do insurance full time. What was it? Or like, was it a multitude of different, was it House of
It
Blues?
was. So I run multifunctional I would say entertainment center. So basically, like a House of Blues, there's a gift shop, there's a foundation room, which is a high-end nightclub, there's a music hall, there is a box office, and there's restaurants, and there's special events team. So I had 500 employees under me. We did 50 million a year, and I was in charge of all aspects of the operation, down to contracting for music. I mean, talent buying, load in, load out, the engineers keeping it looking pretty, doing all the things. So that's what I really loved until I ran into the insurance space because now, so again, go back to corporate America. Corporate America is something that you're kind of held hostage. And I know I felt like I was making a lot of money. I had a great title, and I never really cared about titles. But when I got into the insurance space, it changed everything because sometimes I would hit my bonus, but I didn't get paid it because something happened. Sometimes I hit all my numbers and I didn't get a raise because something happened. In this business, whatever you put into it, you get out of it, and nothing changes it. And I really like that. And the fact that like these companies bonus you, right? Our company bonuses you, but if you do core bridge X amount, they bonus you. So what I tell my recruits is, look, when I started, I messed up because I was writing every company known to man. I didn't single a couple out and go
Yeah.
after the bonuses because the bonuses aren't charge backable. So now I kind of hone in on just a few companies. And I know a lot of people like F&G for IULs. I like NLG because I can teach it to a 5-year-old and I can get an agent up and running very quickly. Here's how an illustration works. You only want to pay 15 years, 1 through 15. You want to turn on income at 35, blah, blah, blah. And then that's it. It's really simple. You want it increasing? Great. You want it level? Great. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
want to specify amount? 300 bucks a month? Keep it standard? Done. I like things that are simple. I know it doesn't pay as much. I know they take a little bit longer, but when I get agents on, I got a guy last night. And I walked him through the illustration process in 5 minutes, and he wrote his own application on one of his children without me. And he did another one today. Now he's dangerous. Now he's going to go, he's got a bunch of IUL leads coming in real time. And now he's going to go out and he's going to either, and kind of what I was taught from Zach was $300 or less. Don't even bug NLG unless they're kids from 0 to 18, or there's someone who's going to invest, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be Moo, it's gonna be Ethos unless it's California, or it's gonna be America. Don't even bog them down because when you get a big whale, you got all these little fish in the way, and it's gonna make your client might go away. So at $300 or more, now you're looking to do an illustration, right? And he also taught me that find out if they're conservative or if they're an investor. If they're conservative, just get them America or get them Ethos or something and get them covered and get on your way. If they're an investor, now that's when you're going to spend time, do a Zoom, and you're actually not going to want to close them. You're going to actually show them an illustration, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We're talking about IULs. So Uncle Jimmy just jumped into talking about index universal life policies, which on kind of our hierarchical tier of insurance sales would be whole life, term,
Mhm.
and probably IULs would be up here, followed by fixed index annuities. All things that you can sell with just a life insurance license. Life insurance license is incredible. You're not regulated by SEC or FINRA. There's no
Mm-mm.
variable products we're not touching. We're not getting into the market. We're using indexes, and we're not even using them. The insurance company's using them, and we just kind of help, you know, select which ones we like, whether it's a point to point or 2-year point to point or 50-50 and stuff we can teach you as we progress. But Frank's over here giving you some love, saying you taught him NLG last night. So
Yeah, so that was my agent. So Frank, yeah. So
what's up,
again,
Frank?
guys, like something that we do that Andrew and Zach do, which I do now, is I just throw you into IULs. We
Great.
don't mess around with final expense. Why? You have to learn final expense is great, but you got to realize they're on a budget. You have to probably post date the policy, and there probably is going to be a chargeback. And the three things that are most powerful about the index universal life policy is they're not on a budget. They're 90% of them don't charge back, and their premiums are higher. And when you have a conversation with them, these people are looking to invest in their future. And it just seems like it's easier for us to communicate with them. It's not a hard sell. You do have to kind of know what you're doing, but if I just teach you IULs, then you don't know any better. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You're dumb and you're too dumb to fail. So, and I always look at my nephew because he was so young. Sean Mike just flew him all over the country, and Andrew just fell into the most wonderful job in the world and built this humongous agency. I mean, Grady watched him. How many years you watch him? 2, 3 years before you decided to dip your toe in?
You. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, if we start people at final expense, then that's going to be a small stair step into the next progression, which will be a term, then into market protection. Why? Let's just get them going on IULs. NLG is very simple. There's no illustrations with Ethos or America or Moo. Like if you do the Moo, I mean the Life Express, it's simple. You don't have to do anything, and the premiums are better and the chargebacks are less. And for me, when I heard Zach talk about that, I was like, light bulb moment. And then the other part, I think people are afraid of our annuities, and they're not scary. They really aren't. We have an SRS team that will help you get over the finish line. And everyone always says, I know, but I don't want to give them 50%. No, you want to give them 50% because a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. And I'll guarantee you, you'll get a lot of people that want it, but you don't know what you're doing yet. And you're going to lose that sale. So you might as well have someone, an expert on our SRS team, help you, teach you, and you still make money while you're doing it. And I really believe that if more people will reach out, we would sell more annuities. I think people are kind of holding back a little bit because they want that commission. You're still going to get a commission and you're going to get a big commission. It's probably not going to charge back and it's going to change your business. So I sold my first annuity in March and my commission was $20,000 and that changed my business. Okay. Now I've got a thing that's generating me leads that I can afford to do. There's things that I can afford to do that I was too afraid to before. So fear is something that holds us back in this industry, especially people that come from corporate America, that we just have a check that comes. We just have to show up and then they pay you, right? They don't like you, they get rid of you. But if you do a good job, you kind of dance within the lines, you just make money, it doesn't cost you anything. When you run your own business, it doesn't work that way. You have to invest in yourself and you have to buy into activity. And the more you invest, the less you're going to pay the government. So that was something I learned too. Last year, I wrote a big check. I guess this year I wrote a big check to the IRS because I didn't invest enough. I didn't realize, I mean, I didn't think about that until I did my taxes and I was like, wow, if I would have spent more on leads, I probably would have had a not a biggest check to write. I would have more write-offs. And I think that's something that, we all have to learn. We all have our path. We all have, and I call it a marathon. It's definitely not a sprint. I know some people can get into this industry and they can just take off and they're a sprinter and they never look back. Me, it took me a little bit longer. It's taken me a little bit longer, but as you're learning and you're growing as you go, you'll be fine. So my goal is always to double what I do. So last year, I've already doubled what I've done as a team production. Last year, we did 300 families. This year, we're over 700 families as a team. Next year, I want to do, if I ended up at seven, my goal is 1.4 million as a team. Okay. So if we look at things like that, it's really simple. And if you run this like a business, so last September, I helped 28 families, right? This year, I got to do that or better. And if you go up, my goal is to go up 5% every month. If I can go up 5% on my numbers, I've done my job. And I really believe if we just look at things like that, it makes it easier. Don't look at the whole year. Just look at well, I've been here over a year, so it's easy. But just go after, if you just start and you started this month, whatever you do this month, you got to beat it by 5% next month. And then the following month, and then the following month. And then next year, you're held to these numbers. And if we look at it like that, it makes it a lot easier to attain your goals.